Welcome back to SMUT N STUDY podcast. I'm Amanda.
I'm Natalie.
And today we are talking about the book Powerless by Lauren Roberts.
Yes. This is a very popular, I feel like, book series
now. Not a smutty book, but a really well-written one. It's definitely good for, like, young adults.
Yeah. Which is when I think she wrote it when she was, like, young.
Oh,
so,
really?
yeah.
I don't know the background knowledge.
Yeah. I think the author Lauren Roberts is really young to begin with. Like, I mean, like, as far as, like, our age, like, I think she's, like, closer to our age. But I did watch a video where it literally was, like, she had written this story, like, when she was, like, 16, like, years old or whatever. Which is why there's not a lot of, like, smut. Because I guess, like, you know, when you're, like, a kid yourself, you're, like, you can't, how are you going to, like, write... all that stuff. Yeah.
Super enemies to lover.
Yes.
A lot of banter. Yeah. Like back and forth, which we love.
Yes, we do.
So pretty much this book is about a girl who is an ordinary, she's kind of like an orphan. Her mom and her dad both died. I think her mom died at birth or whatever, and then her dad died.
Was murdered.
Yeah, he was murdered by someone. So she pretty much lives in the streets with her best friend Adina, and she kind of just steals stuff from people. She's a thief. So
and that is like her, like, I feel like that is her skill, and then I feel like she's good at like reading people. Like she can really, like, her dad taught her to read people really well. And she has like beautiful, like, silver hair, like, of course, just like, you know, out of the ordinary, like, extra, just like, you know, small, has like beautiful eyes, freckles, like silver hair, everything. And then she steals. She's really good at stealing. She's really good at reading people, so she kind of passes herself for like having a superpower, even though she doesn't have a superpower. And then her best friend Adina is like a seamstress, basically. So like would steal like fabrics or try and steal money so Adina could like make them things. And this story started out like so good and kind of sad, and then like I felt like in the beginning I was like, oh, I know exactly what's like gonna happen here, because all of a sudden like the princes like show up, and I'm just like, okay.
But the funny part is her character is like so good. They literally could have just written the story just based off of like Peyton, and I'm like, I would still love it, because I just like how she's like, she sticks out. Like, to me, if I saw like a girl in a town with like silver hair and like she was small and like cute and stuff, like you would always like, if you saw someone with silver hair that was young, you would automatically be like, oh, like, who's that? Like, you would notice that person. And like, I just laugh because I'm like, here she is like thieving, and like no one ever catches her, but yet she like sticks out like a sore thumb.
Or just like the fact that there was a lot of talk of like she'd been caught like quite a few times and would literally just get like beat up or like whipped like in the square, and they like talk about the fact that it'd be like this giant man that would like hit her or whatever, and you're like, could you just imagine, like, I don't know, you're just like this most gorgeous like girl creature thing, and some dude just like punching the shit out of her. Like, it's like crazy to me, like the fact that she'd be like, yeah, like I would just get like whipped in like the town square or whatever, or like punched and like all this stuff, and you're like,
and then she's like back at it again the next day. She's like, oh, fuck it, whatever.
Yeah. And like her and Adina have this fascination with like the sticky buns and stuff. And they like, you know, have their little like side moments with that, which I thought were like really cute. Or like I love the little emphasis they had like on their little like hut tent like masterpiece, how they like made it like look like a home. Like I thought that was like really cute. And like them like just like sleeping together like every night, like basically under the stars and stuff was super sweet. But you know, but then you get introduced to like Kai, and you're just like, oh yeah. This is what I see it.
So Kai is the oh my god, I cannot say the word, the king's son, who is the enforcer. So there's elites and then there's ordinaries. The ordinaries would be like Peyton, the main character, to where like they just don't really care about them. And then the elites all have powers. So there's like, I don't remember all of them, but there's a couple different ones. Like you could be a healer. There's like a psychic, and then Kai is an enforcer, which an enforcer pretty much can take on the power of any of the other elites if they're like in his area. So,
which
like,
is pretty legit. Like,
yeah, if there's like
cool.
a healer, like he literally could be like, oh, like I could heal you now because there's a healer near me.
I feel like anytime anyone asks me now, like, what my like, if I could have a superpower, I'd be like, I want the power to absorb all the other powers to be like whatever I wanted to be.
But also,
like,
I would just want to be a healer because every time you read these books, like people literally have like their guts like spilling on the floor, and then it's like, oh, hold on, let me heal you real quick, and it's like
get the healer. Where's the healer? Or just be like, oh my god, like they're 2 seconds away from death, and they just be like, my power went through their body. Oh my god, they're alive, and you're like, yeah, it's clutch. Like,
it's also funny too because I feel like in the books, like when they actually need, like someone's about to die, and you're like, oh, they're just gonna go get a healer, you know, like everything's gonna be fine, and then like, oh, there's no healers like in the area, and I'm like, this reminds me of every movie, like where you know someone just gets murdered, and then like the cops come like 30 minutes after like the whole thing happens, and you're like, now you show up, you know, what
like
I mean?
a little too late.
The deed's been done, but you know, I guess if you want to be needed, then be a healer. But no, Kai's power is pretty cool because that's why the king uses him, because no one's going to step up to him because he could have everybody's power.
Yeah.
Or what was the other one that's like super deadly? A silencer?
Yeah.
Where they could like read people's minds or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
there's a lot. Like, or like, what is it? Like almost like coercion kind of? Like you can like feed into...
Oh yeah, you could pretty much like make people do what you like plant your thoughts in there. Oh, God.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
That's
I know.
deadly.
I know.
Yeah, but pretty much there's Kai, then there's Kit, that's his brother.
Yeah.
And then the king, and they like live in the castle.
Yeah. The king's a piece of shit. Which, if you read this series, read this book, so you know that. And Kit, you know, in this book he's first off, he's just a blonde brother. And, like, I feel like in this book, like, they've tried really, really hard to just, like, make Kit kind of have, like, a connection with Peyton or have, like, witty banter. And you can just kind of see where they're, like, attempting to go. And I'm like, no, it's the dark-haired boy. Like, don't try and trick me. Like, I know where this is going. Yeah. Okay? It's never the blonde kid, okay? It's definitely going to be Kai. Like, don't do this to me. But anyways, Kai and I don't know if it's Kai and Kit that come to the village or if it's just Kai. But anyways, basically Peyton runs into him and steals like his change and like, but makes it like the illusion that she didn't really take that much, or she tried to like give it an illusion that she really took everything from him or most of everything, and like made it where like he would hear the change still and think that like he still had like money or whatever. So obviously Kai like caught that or whatever. And so there's like a moment where basically Peyton ends up like saving Kai's life. And basically the king is having, what do you want to call it? Trials, like a bunch of trials and stuff for like different like orders or like different gifts and stuff. So Peyton ends up being what, like they have like a list that goes out like in the middle of the town or whatever, and like Peyton like never assumes that she's not anybody, she's not anyone like important or anything like that, and she ended up making the
Silver Savior.
The Silver Savior. Yeah. See, it's super cute.
I know, it is super cute. But it's just funny because this whole time they think that Peyton has
psychic abilities.
Yeah, psychic abilities, because in order to compete in like these trials, you have to be an elite to use like your power pretty much. And I guess if you don't have any powers, you're pretty much like dead.
Yeah, exactly.
But
psychics like aren't really like, I feel like
it's not really that great of a power.
Right, like for like the trials and stuff, like in her own like opinion, like she was just like, I would never be picked for this, because like, what is a psychic? You know what I mean? Like you have someone that's like a healer, could do all these things. You're like, cool, I'm a psychic. You know,
I could read your mind pretty much.
And so obviously her name was on it, and it was a shock. So anyway, she gets in there, and the whole time obviously she doesn't have like any power, so she's just like faking it. But she's flirting with Kai. She's like flirting with Kit, and they're trying to make it flirt with Kit, and I'm just like, No, 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 no,
But
no.
I also love how, like, her and Kai literally will, like, fight each other, and, like, he'll, like, punch her in the face, and she, like, kicks him and all this stuff. And I'm just like, that's how you know the love is gonna be great. You know, he's just, like, beating her up, like...
Every fantasy, like, sort of romance, like, book or whatever, like, if the two aren't beating the shit out of each other, then
it's not true love.
They ain't the one, okay?
That's how you knew Kit wasn't for her.
No, because Kit was just so, like, he was just so, like, nice and, like, level-headed, and of course, like, Kai, like, their father treated Kai, like, totally different than the way, like, Kit was, like, treated, and so it was, like, Kai was brought up to, like, be the killer, and, you know, whatever, and so, like, Kai was like, oh, like, I'm the monster, like, I could never really get the girl, like, sort of thing, but, like, Peyton's entire life was kind of savage, so it was, like, definitely going to, like, you know, like, I feel like Kit was just, he was, like, too nice. It was, like, they had, like, a good banter and a good friendship, but it was just, like, Peyton was gonna eat him up. Like, she needed Kai. Like,
and then she ended up using him, which was great. She's like, oh, by the way, I need help. Can you, like, come to the town with me and then just show me the way through the tunnels, though? Because we need to bring a resistance group in here. Because she kind of caught on that there was, like, a resistance group that was coming to, like, fuck up the king's day, whatever.
Yeah. She basically found out that, like, her father, who was a healer or whatever, like, was behind this entire, like, resistance and stuff. So, like, in the castle, she's doing not only, like, a trial every so many days, but she's basically doing all these, like, side quests. Like, she's meeting all these people and, like, learns a lot about, like, her father, realizing that, like, he was killed, what he was really doing or what he was really, like, standing up for and everything. So, you know, once again, we won't go into every detail, but that's pretty much the gist of it. And of course, Kit just being like, you know, I really like her, you know, having a crush, like, I'm gonna do, like, whatever you say. And then the final, like, trial kind of, like, comes into play, and, you know, she wants the resistance to go through the tunnels, like, she knows that the king is, like, absolutely, like, evil, and, like, as an ordinary, like, she's putting on the front that she's a psychic, but, like, she's sitting there and he's just, like, basically, like, kill all the ordinaries, and she's like, hey, cool, that's me, like, you're a piece of garbage, you know, all this sort of stuff. And no one thought that she was actually going to make it to the final
trial. And then Kai was helping, like, her the whole time.
Yeah, and he so good.
But
so good. Like, she's supposed to be, like, the weakest, like, you know.
Yeah.
Again, like, she's a psychic. Like, what sort of, you know what I mean? Like, she's supposed to be, like, really small, and so it was, like, he was very, like, helpful with, like, you know, the combat and, like, all that sort of stuff.
And we love like, why are you helping me? And we're like, because he loves you.
Oh my god.
But I also... she brought her friend Adina into the castle because she wanted her to, like, make her, like, dresses and stuff, but she also didn't want Adina to sleep alone in, like, their little house or whatever. And, poor Adina. Oh my god. Poor Adina. This book is not really that sad, and then it gets to the one point where, towards the end of the book, like, she wins the trial. Yeah. Or whatever. The king's pissed off about it. He didn't like that Kai was helping her pretty much, and they kind of were like, okay, well, she should have died. Yeah. Anyway, the whole resistance things happens. Something explodes in the castle. The king goes to kill Peyton, and he, like, carves a whole, like, O into her chest. Yeah. Because he was like, oh, well, you'll always be an ordinary, and everybody will know. Because he, I guess, kind of figured out that, like, she didn't have any power or whatever. Yeah.
It was one of those, like, I think he knew, like, the whole time, or suspected the whole time, but it was like I think he literally just thought that she was just gonna die, like, in the trials, and he wasn't gonna have to worry about it.
Yeah, he was like, oh yeah, she'll die in the trial, I don't have to worry about it. And then he's like, shit, she didn't die, so now I gotta kill her myself. So yeah, he goes to kill her, and then she ends up killing him, and of course, as she kills him, Kai and Kit come in, and they're like, oh my god, you killed the king. Like, so...
And of course, it's like, I feel like Kai is, like, so torn, because obviously, like, he hated his father. Like, he was a piece of garbage, and, like, I feel like Kai, like, knew that, but it was still just, like, this was the king, like, this is what the way it was, but like Kit was just like looked up to like his dad, and so I definitely feel like he was like royally like,
oh yeah, he was
up.
super pissed off at her. And then I feel like he also had a lot of stress because now he is going to be the king.
Yes.
Leading up.
And wasn't planning on being the king anytime soon. You know what I mean? Like, just all of a sudden he's like, oh, I'm it.
Yeah.
This is cool.
So he's super bitter towards Peyton. And then Peyton pretty much flees because she has nowhere else to go. And they're like both kind of upset with her at the time.
Yeah.
And towards the end of the book, Kit is like, Kai, you need to go find Peyton and you need to bring her to me.
You're my enforcer. Like, you gotta bring her back.
You have to bring her back and we're gonna kill her. And then Kai is like, what? Like, I love this woman. Like, what the hell?
I don't know. Yeah. And then we kind of skipped over this, but the this saddest part of the entire
that was the whole reason why I brought that up.
The entire book was the fact that like Peyton basically made it to the center of like this maze, meaning like she basically won, but they had Adina tied up and they shot an arrow through Adina's chest, but at the same time like Adina's fingers were all broken and like twisted in weird ways, and like obviously for someone who's a seamstress, like that's like it's like a career ending like thing, you know. So that was like really freaking sad because it was like she brought like Adina into the castle to kind of, and they definitely like
to save her.
Yeah, and they took her and literally had like broken all of her fingers and had her like tied up to basically just really like seal the deal on like hurting Peyton. And then that was like transpired like her absolute like blinded rage.
Yeah,
I feel like towards the king, and then she like kills the king. But this book is, I mean, the one-liners, like, I don't know what it is about, like, men just being like, you're really angry today, or like, oh, you're, like, super, like, feisty, and I'm just like, yes.
Yeah.
Like, I just love it when it's just, like, men are just, like, in all these books that they're just like, oh, you're so, like, cute, and, like, you know, angry.
You're cute when you're angry,
like, feisty, and, like, oh, you know, blah, blah, blah. And that was, like, their entire, like, Kai and, like, Peyton's relationship was like she was just always so violent. Yeah. Like always had like her dagger, was like always trying to like kill him or like beat the shit out of him, and like vice versa. They were just very angsty towards each other, and I really liked it.
That was the best
and
part.
there was no smut in this book, and
I loved. Was there kissing in this one?
I don't know.
I don't think that there was.
I don't think there was.
Yeah, I don't think in this one that there was at all. So I'm like,
if we're wrong, you guys can tell us.
For like a book to be like, I don't know, I feel like sometimes I've read like books that have like no like love interest or like stuff like that, and you're kind of like, oh
yeah,
I don't know, it's missing something. This book is that, like, it is so good.
It is so good. And like I said, there wasn't anything, it didn't like, I mean, they could have had it and it wouldn't have like made it worse, but like I think just the forced proximity and the just like the build up of everything, like the tensions were just really high, like all the time, where you were just like, do it, but like it never happened. But you were like, it's okay, everything's fine. Like I still really like this banter. It's really good.
Yeah, it was. The series is so good.
Yeah, it really for something written from when like she was so young, like. My brain was not doing that well. I was like,
if you wrote this at 16, the banter that just goes on in this book, like you were thinking about that at 16, like I don't remember my 16-year-old self being like that, like witty, you know. But also, I actually went to high school and I didn't fight for my life every day, so I don't know. Maybe if you like,
I don't know either,
fight for your life every day, you would be pretty witty and defensive all the time.
I don't know. I don't know. Everything about this book is so good. So hopefully you know, we should probably start saying spoiler alerts at the beginning.
You probably read this already if you're tuning in.
Yes,
hopefully, because we just spoiled everything for you.
Yeah. But also, we're glad to be back because we took some time. some time off because Amanda got married and had a honeymoon.
Sorry,
no. So she had a life. She had a life. So now we're back. But thanks for tuning in, and we're going to be doing the rest of this series. So if you've only read book 1 or only read book 2, make sure you read the newest book that came out because it's great.
It is great.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks
Next
for tuning in.
time. Bye.